Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tosin for those that are new here. And today's video, from the title, I'm going to be doing a video on, influencing. I'm going to talk about it from an audience, like me being an audience, or that's me being the influenced. And I'm going to talk about it from being an influencer, and I'm also going to talk about it from being a brand that actually works with influencers. If you know, I run a business. I have a business of my own, and I've been running that business for the last, let me say, since 2013-14. So I would say 7 years, 6-7 years, yeah. So let's even say 6 years since when I had it registered. So let's say 6 years. And I've been privileged to work with a couple of influencers. So basically, I'm doing this video because of, I did an Insta story talking about how to reject, let me say, partnership collaborations that people that do maybe giftings, like you don't want to do giftings, and I actually put up a templates that people could copy in case, let me say, a brand reaches out to you and wants to work with you and doesn't have a budget for payment and they want to send you gifts, and that's not really in your, you don't get that ship has sailed, you're not really into doing giftings at the moment. And I put up a mail to reject such collaborations, and not in a rude way. There's no need to be rude. In a polite way, just expressing your consent to the brand and where you're at the moment. And after that, I shared a few tips as well on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you do. We share so many insights, not just me, my audience. I share anything that I find useful. I share it on my Instagram. So please follow me. My handle is Lane Jaffet. So Lane and Jaffet, I'll put it here as well. So please follow me on Instagram if you're not following me. And then I also did a poll on Instagram asking people to tell me, or influencers, not just micro influencers, big influencers, that what is their biggest challenge with influencing, or the influencing world. And I gave examples. I said, what is it, setting your prices for your rate card? Is it working with brands, like attracting the brands themselves? Is it, having an engaging audience? Is it editing your video? What is exactly the problem? Or is it beside, and I said, all these points besides consistency, because that one is, dependent on your own personal life and personal discipline, for instance. So, and I got a lot of feedback, and if you can guess from the examples that I gave, one of the things that I know that if, let me say 200 responses, like 150 was, talking about, getting brands to work with them. Like, everyone wants brands that send them products and pays them. Obviously, it's like, if you're a caterer, you want people that want to patronize you, like baking or getting your baked goods and stuff. So that's that. So in this video, I'm going to talk about, as I said, from 3 perspectives: as an audience, as an influencer, and as a brand. So yeah, if you'd like to know more about this topic, definitely keep watching. Okay, so first things first, before we get into the overflow topics, which is, brands that don't have budget, blah, 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 let's talk about you as an influencer. Now, what is an influencer? As cliche as it is someone that influences people, or, allows people through their own personality, their own lifestyle, the things that they share, engage an audience in such a way that it translates into followership, sales, or, thought pattern. So you can influence people to have a thought pattern. You can influence people to, let me say, to go vegan. You can influence people to change their lifestyle because of you. Let me say, they'll start jogging. You can influence people to purchase a product. So basically, that's what influencing is. Now, one of the things that I know that people struggle with influencers, which I also got from that poll, is getting an engaging audience. Like, what is an engaging audience? People that comment, people that reply, post, people that like your stuff. I mean, that is your portfolio as an influencer. Like, if I want to speak with a brand now, right, and they tell me to say, what's your engagement rates? What do? I look at, let me say, my last post, total comments, my likes, my shares. I calculate it together. I divide it by my followers times 100. So that's how I get my engagement percentage, for instance. I'm going to put the formula below in case, not in the screen, in the description box, right? I'm going to put it in the description box for you to calculate your own engagement rates. Now, this is your portfolio. Now, how do you get an engaging audience? The truth is, something's got to give. We've passed the generation where it's just pretty girl rocks. Now, you can go on your Instagram and just be doing fine girl, sexy girl, fine girl. All well and good. If that's your own niche, awesome. But I find that, audiences that have, or influencers that have the most engagement are the influencers that share. I don't mean, share your family history. No, I don't mean that. Share content, share things that are shareable, share things that are worthy of screenshotting, share things that people will be like, interesting. Share things that even if people don't agree with your perspective, you have created open communication lines in such a way that people can respond to your post, and then there can be a dialogue. So let me give you myself as an example, because this is what I know. So, I've been blogging for quite a while. I've been blogging since 2012. Yeah, it's 2012. I'm blogging since 2012, so that's 8 years. I've been blogging since 8 years. I started with my written text-based blog, and I find out that the posts that do the most, or the things that have the most traffic or generate the most traffic, even referring to Instagram now, which is a popping app. I'm not on TikTok, so I can't say for TikTok. For Instagram, is sharing content that people can say, oh, I've been looking for this. Oh, I want to look like this. Oh, I want to wear this dress. Oh, I never thought about it. Oh, I'm going to try this tomorrow. You're influencing people to make a decision. So if all you post is all about you, in the sense of nothing that adds value to people, nothing that people can run with, you're not going to have an engaging audience. If you're also an influencer that you know that this is not for micro influencers, you're trying to, build an audience, and you don't reply your DMs, people will DM you to be in your DM for 30 days, or you're not someone that has and what would I say, you've not created discourse. You don't allow your audience to feel like they're comfortable enough to share their opinions with you without being dragged. Do you understand? And this is as little as, for example, now when I put things on my own Instagram, my Insta story, for instance, which is where I get a lot of views, and I maybe I talk about a topic, right? And someone DMs me and gives me an insight. I engage with the person, I reply the person's message, I read the person, because someone has taken out their time to type something to you. It's worthy of a response. Just know what I'm saying? Like, you can ignore, let me say if it's just a comment, or I don't know, it's up to you. But I'm talking about if you want to create an engaging audience, people that give you back and forth. You respond, and even when you respond, you ask them, like for example, me, I would ask my audience, oh please, is it okay? Can you give me permission to repost? Is it okay for me to repost? Is it okay for me to share on my story? Stuff like that, just so that the person feels like, I care about their opinion. I think what they said is insightful. I want to share it with the general public. You understand what I'm saying? So I think those are ways in which you can have an engaging audience. Another thing is, you need to be real, right? I think it was before when, people started this influencer work that people were interested in, perfection. So I'm speaking from a woman's perspective now. Okay, it's nice that, you every time you post an Insta story, you look, beautiful, everything is all perfect. But what about like real life scenarios in which people can relate to it? And as I said, you don't need to be personal. Personally, I share a lot of stuff, but I'm still very private. I let you know only what I think I want you to know. Do you understand what I'm saying? People can decide to, infer and, they have third eye and whatnot, but that's not for you to worry about. Share relatable things in the sense that people can see you and be like, okay, you know what? This is me. Toby, I can see myself in Toby. I can see myself in Tosin. Or someone can be like, girl, been there, done that. And even as cliche as, the other day I put up a story and I said something about I was doing a workout and I was just like, Shogun like, is it that deep? For those that don't understand Yoruba, like, life is not that deep. Why do I want to kill myself over this workout? And a lot of people responded and they were just laughing like, tell me about it and stuff. That even when they work out, like, it's just because the results are great. That's why they keep going on, not because it's easy. So stuff like that. But then if you come online and let me tell you, you're sharing fitness videos and all you share is how you woke up this morning, you jog. One day you're already like abs and everything. You're not sharing your struggles along the way. It's harder for people to engage with you in that regard. I hope I'm making sense and I hope you're understanding me. If you are watching this video and you're an influencer, I think you should take notes. It's worthy of taking notes, stuff like that. So you might want to do that. Yeah. So that's how I think, another way in which you can have an engaging audience. Now, a repost itself, like when you put up a post out there, it's not just okay, it's not expedient, let me put it that way, to just put a post and you run. Now, I find that and you know what I would say is that there's some audiences that no matter how you post all day long, they won't still engage with you. But there are people that at least you get 100 comments, right? Depending on your, as I said, your engagement rates. And you talk about something and you actually care about the experiences of other people. So let's say you ask a question, you say something like maybe okay, for instance, let me give you a post. I did a post a while back and I talked about my skincare regimen, that I was never really into skincare until recently. And then I asked the question, I said, what's the most you spent on skincare? And then people, started commenting, and I asked if it's less than 200 pounds or more than 200 pounds. I think if I'm not mistaken. And people started commenting and sharing, and stuff like that. So that's one way. And it doesn't always have to be a question. It can be just you, telling people to tag other people under your post. Like, I find that post that when I share posts, I say something about maybe tag your favorite somebody here. And then people begin to drop it in my Insta story, like the box, putting polls, asking people, do you prefer this to this? It's just a way to create engagement. You're building your portfolio. It doesn't make you talkative. It doesn't make you, it makes you, that's why people, I have, with all humility, I have people tell me that once they see that red banner or the, I don't know the color, over my Insta story stuff, they're quick to watch it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they find it interesting. Because a lot of people, especially depending on the part of the world that you're in, a lot of people like fast social media. They don't have the time or the attention span to come on YouTube and watch this video. They may not, but they would read your Insta story. They will read blogs. They will read comments, but they may not just have the attention span. So your job is to be able to capture, you know, an audience, whichever one you want to be, and not just audiences that, I'm still going to come to the ones that translate into sales later because of the brand. I think maybe this video will be, you know, will be very long, but if it's very long, I'll say maybe I can cut it in parts to just, it's not too much, it's not information overload. But if it's like 30 minutes, I'll upload it like that anyway. So I'm still going to come to the sales part, but you know, you want an audience that once you ask a question, they're responding. Once you say drop your emails, in less than 10 minutes you already have like 70 emails. Once you say maybe you are selling a product, once you put it out there, it sells out. Not just the ones that is just, hey, you go girl, but when it's time to put their money where their mouth is, or by the time to put their likes or their engagements, they're missing. You know, so we're gonna, that's one thing I want you to consider, creating an engaging audience. Now the next thing people want to talk about is maybe your rate cards, right? Which is what you send to brands when they want to work with you. So for those that don't know, I'm not going to assume that everyone knows what a rate card is. Basically, it's a template, it's a sheet of paper. It's like your price list. So you send it to brands. When the brands tell you, oh, hi Tosin, we'd like to work with you to review this hair. We're looking forward to work with you. Can we know how much you charge? Instead of me to just say, oh, hi guys, I charge blah, blah, blah. I'll just say, okay, please attach my rate card, which is a document that I've designed before. You can use Canva. If you don't know what Canva is, please Google it, Canva. It's free. They have a premium version, but you can also use the free version as well. You just go there and you design your own. They have, in fact, if you type rate card there to bring out templates, so you just need to fill in your own prices. I'm still going to come to how you should price yourself, right? Not like anyone can teach you that, but I would still talk about it. You know, and then you put that and then you send that to brand. So that's that. So that's an easy way to design your rate card. Just go on Canva and follow templates. And everyone knows how to follow a template, I presume. If you're on social media, if you don't, maybe go and watch a YouTube video on how to use Canva. So that's on rate cards. Now another question is, you know, so I don't know how to price myself. I'm going to talk about the underflogged topic, which is people that are oversells, right? I said I've worked with a couple of influencers, especially in this last month or two. I've worked with about 30 influencers, and we've paid as high as, you know, hundreds of thousands to as low as 10,000 naira. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, right. Let me talk about the undersell, then I'll talk about the oversell. Undersell is basically when you have, you know, a lot of following. Let me say you have 10,000. No, that's not even a lot, but you have a good amount of following. You have 10,000 followers. You get a minimum of 30 to 40 comments under your images. People like your pictures. You are good at what you do. Your camera is crisp and clear. Your content is clean. You are consistent. When I go on your page, the last post will not be 2019. It's 2020. This month, a few weeks ago is even too far-fetched. A week ago on Instagram, because you need to be relevant. You know, good content, and you're charging maybe 5,000 naira per Instagram post. That's an undersell. No, I recommend you follow this page, Influencer Pay Gap, for you to, you know, kind of see. It kind of highlights the challenges of, let me say, black influencers, right? Or even influencers at large. I don't think it's just black influencers at large. Just go on the page and educate yourself. I'll put the handle also in the description box. It's called Influencer Pay Gap, right? I recommend you following that page as well. So that's an undersell. That means you don't know your worth. You're not, or you're afraid to show your worth, or you think that if you pitch it to brands, they would not accept it. That's what would I say? An undersell. Now, an oversell is where you barely have 10,000 followers, right? And I know that people say it's not about the followers. You can have 3,000 followers, but let's be real. I'm going to talk about it from a brand perspective shortly. Brands want the most value for the least dollar with anything in life. Everybody wants, you want to buy hair, the best quality hair for the least money. That's just life. Let's not have our heads stuck in the clouds. We don't want to do that. Brands want the most value for the least dollar, right? Because it's business. It's not a charitable cause. It's business. And they also want, when they are paying the most dollar, they want the most value. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So it's like they always want to win. They don't want a win-lose situation. They want a win-win situation all the time. So you barely have, let me even come down a little. You barely have 7,000 followers, right? Not even 10K. Your posts are not, they don't generate a lot of engagement. People are not sharing your posts. People are not liking your posts. People are commenting, and all the comments are just, let me say, you have 10 comments, right? And then 5 comments is people actually commenting, and the remaining 5 is you replying their comments. So actually, it's only 5 people that commented on your post. You are the one that supported it with the remaining 5 to make it 10, which is also a good practice because that means you replied every comment. Well done if you can do that. So that's, and then you're charging hundreds of thousands. Now, I want you to put yourself in, and I'm speaking in Naira because I know a lot of my audience are Nigerians, but if you're in the UK, just imagine you're paying thousands of pounds, right? Or you're paying £1,000, or let's even bring it down, £500, right? For someone that has less than 0.05 engagement with your following. Your picture quality is not great. Your video qualities are not great. The content may be good, but the quality output, it's like, let me give you an example, right? You're getting married. You employ a videographer. The videographer captures everything about the event, all the memorable moments, but yet their video is 320 HD. It's not even HD. 320 pixels when we are talking about 4K. In this generation where there is, 4K video content, in this generation where people are using drones to take even influencer pictures, and then you come out with a 320 pixel, video. So in as much as you captured all the memorable moments, the video content is awesome, but the quality of the content is crap. That's another reason why maybe a brand will want to work with you. So those are some of the things that, and then you now say, okay, because you went to an influencer pay gap, you read that, people are, disproportionately marginalized and all of that. You yourself, you're not going to say, you're going to design your rate card. You're going to put for one Instagram, story, you're going to be charging £400. You're going to charge 100K. You're going to charge... No, you're an oversell. You're overselling yourself. What you should do in that case, I even doubt even brands will be reaching out to you in that regard. If they reach out to you, it's probably based on sentiments or maybe through a referral. Because as I said, except the brand is, let me say, as I said, a referral. Brands want the most value. They want a storyteller. They want someone that, represents their brand in such a way that people, if I see the content, I want to patronize. I want to make the purchase. It's not really about your pretty face. It's not really about your stunning body. It's about their merchandise. Yes, your pretty face helps to sell the products. Yes, your stunning body makes the clothes look more appealing. But at the end of the day, they don't want people just writing click all over your picture. They want people saying, I'm going to purchase now from blah blah blah.com. That's what every brand wants. So you as an influencer, I'm speaking to you, I want you to now, analyze what your content, go through your page and see, what, assuming I'm a brand, will I want to work with myself? That's, the Bible says do unto others as you want others to do unto you. So yeah, so think about it. If I was a brand, would I want to work with myself? Would I think it to translate into sales for the brand or for me as a brand? Things like attention to detail. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to, send you, let me say I tell you as a brand now, a brand tells you, okay, they want you to make a hair tutorial. They want you to unbox the hair tutorial from the packaging, show everything first, speed up the video, do your tutorial, blah, blah, but make sure that you put, let me say, all the details of purchase, and then you do the video, you forget to unbox it, you just do the hair, you upload it. It's good enough, but you didn't follow instructions. No. So let's be honest to ourselves. I'm not here to bash brands because it's so easy for us to say, oh, these brands, they don't know what they're doing. You don't have budget, till you begin to own a brand. So you have a marketing budget and then you spend so much on a YouTuber and then you're not able to, you can't quantify the return on investment, which I know that it's not easily measurable, because even sometimes the views enough, the fact that people know about a brand, the buying decision may not be now, it may be later, but because of this person's platform, people now know about your brand, and I think that's a good enough return on investment, depending on the stage of where your brand is. So that's that. So now I'm going to talk about So many things to talk about. I'm going to talk about a question that someone asked me, and I'm going to answer it the way I answered it to her. So someone said, she's also a brand owner. She's an entrepreneur. She lives in Nigeria. She's doing really well for herself. And these people are making 6 figures, monthly. And she was explaining to me that she wants to work with influencers, but she needs to be sure that, when they give her these rate cards, she can quantify the return on investment. She can quantify, okay, you know what, I got 300 leads. It's called leads from this person's post. People started coming to my shop because of this and so and so. Even if it's 3 people that purchase, at least I know that it's because they saw Tosin's video. They are now buying my shirt, or they come to my shop and they buy my slippers because of Tosin's mention on my Instagram. So she wants that. She wants to be able to quantify that. She wants to know the time frame in which she can actually say, okay, this is a good enough time to work with this influencer. So I said, okay, here's what I told her. I said, with influencing, it's really challenging because, as I said earlier, sometimes the views are actually the return on investment. The fact that awareness, people creating awareness about your brand. People don't know about your brand, they're not purchasing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So awareness is 1, sales is 2. Do you understand? Even making your brand look more aesthetically pleasing is 3. So people, working with some influencers just takes your brand from 0 to 100. Like, they just think that your product is like top notch because they know that this person is honest. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it even increases the social currency of your products. So those are 3 things that you can get from working with an influencer. Now, so I gave her an example. I said a brand once reached out to me and they said they wanted to send me a skincare product to use, and I should send my address. And I told them that, can I know the remuneration being offered for this collaboration? Like, how much are you people paying? Is there a budget for this collaboration? Before I sent my rate card. And they explained to me, they were like, oh no, that it's a gifting and it's an what's it called, Affliate based collaboration. So basically they'll give me a coupon code, and anyone that watches my video with the free product they gave me, because say the product is $200, right? Anyone that watches my video with a $200 product would, if they purchase and they use my coupon code, then they'll give me a rebate, a 10% commission. So let me say the product is $200. Anybody that buys from me will get, anybody that buys using my coupon code, I get, what's it, $20. I get $20 commission. And I was like, eek, I don't do that anymore, right? I've done that before in the past, and I did that once for a brand, and it was one of the best collaborations I've ever done. Till today, I still get paid for that partnership. But I said no. The reason is because the product is not a novelty to me. I don't really care about the $200 products like that. It's not something it's not a MacBook that will add so much value to my life. It's just for me to try out. That product, I have it, I don't have it, it doesn't change. It's not something I will not think about, I wish I accepted. No, so that's why I didn't accept it. But I now reached out back to them and I said, oh, thank you so much for the offer for collaboration. However, I don't do gifting-based collaborations anymore. This is my rate card, or I have a rate card. Would you like me to forward it, and then we can proceed on the collaboration? And then they reached out to me like, okay, yes, that's fine. However, they have a clause in their brand. So when you upload a video for them, if your video gets between 1,000 to 2,000 views within 7 days, they pay you, I think, £300. If your video gets between 2,000 to 10,000 views within 7 days, they pay you, let me say, £500. Like that, like that, like that. And I thought, perfect. I felt like that was a win-win scenario for both persons. So if you can guarantee me you will get 2,000 views on your videos in 1 week, which I even think is very fair. In 1 week, we will pay you this so and so price. You can now reach out to them and tell them that, oh, okay, no, I'm not still willing to work with you, because even for 100 views, I charge more than £200. This is just, this is just like an assumption. So stuff like that. But I think it's a good way for a brand to, set out their pay structure. So that's actually their budget. So our budget varies. If you're an influencer that has 10,000 subscribers, we expect you to have a minimum of 1,500 views on each video that you post on your page. If you get that in 7 days, we're going to pay you so and so figure. If you get below that, we're going to pay you so and so figure. Just what I'm saying. So they still pay you regardless of the views that you get. So let's say 0 to 500 views, they pay you $100. 500 to 1,000 views, they pay you $200. So like that. I'm sure you get the math, which I think is a fair. Let me know if you disagree or you agree. Let me know in the comment box as well. So I explained that to her, so she can use that metrics as a measurement metrics to be sure that at least 3,000 people now know my brand, which I think is a good enough, return for a new brand or a startup. Do you get? So that's a way for, if you are, let me say, a brand, or you want to work with brands, or you're an HR person, you want to work with influencers, this is, I think, one method that you can use. Another method is you're reaching out to the person because the person has 10,000 followers. Either the person gives you 5,000 views or 3,000, you are the one that came out to reach out to the person. So if the person is giving you their rate card, I think you should deem them worthy enough to pay them whatever amount is on their rate card in alignment with your budget. If it doesn't match your budget, you bounce, you keep it moving. But if you think, okay, you know what, I'm willing to pay this person, it's like going to advertise on television. They have a flat rate. They don't care if your brand started yesterday, if your brand started last week. They know that they have 1 million audiences watching their TV program every day. They are going to charge you what they charge you. And now we know that social media is the new TV. YouTube is the new TV. Do you understand what I'm saying? So those are ways in which you can, as I said, measure your ROI, return on investment, when you work with influencers. So creating awareness, influencing their buying decision, and the one that actually translates to sale, so that's that. Now, another thing that people ask me is, how do I find brands to work with me? Ha ha ha. The truth is, if you're putting out content, if you're sharing, like I said in the first point, if your page looks like someone that a brand wants to partner with, they will come looking for you. I know that people say, you can actually pitch to brands. There was a platform by YouTube before, or it's been acquired by YouTube now. I think it's called, the name eludes me. I'll put it on the screen. You could actually go there and you pitch to brands. You tell them, I have 10,000, subscribers. I have 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and which is also always good to, update your portfolio, so that brands know. I've worked with 80 brands till date since 2015, for example. I think I've worked with about 100 and maybe 30 brands, if I'm not mistaken. You put it there. I'll be willing to make a video for your brand in exchange for blah blah blah. So the brand already put out the product. They say, okay, they just launched a new lingerie. They want influencers that are comfortable showing off their skin to model this lingerie for them. Then you go there and you pitch, and then they look at your content. They look at your YouTube channel. If it matches their brand aesthetics, they work with you. If not, they don't even reply, or they decline your proposal. So that's what it is. So that's one way in which you can find brands. That platform no longer exists, but I know that there are other ones. So if you do your research, I'm sure you would find ones like that. When I was pregnant, I had to reject almost 20 hair reviews from different brands. And that's because, once you start working with, I do a lot of hair reviews. I've gotten, all the wigs I probably paid for only 2 all my life. The rest were based on brand giftings. And when I work with these brands, they tell me to either post a picture on my Instagram and tag them, or actually make a full YouTube video, or just a mention. I have the ones that tell me just a mention. Now, if you look at my YouTube statistics, I have over 50,000 subscribers now. My views, depending on the subject of discussion, goes high and low, but I have a consistent view, like a consistent view for minimum of so and so and so amount. But these hair companies actually want to use your video for promotional material. It's not really about the views that you get on your own video. It's about them using your own video as promotional content on their own website. So with or without you, they're going to make sales because they're in China and they're AliExpress. All they want is for someone to use their product so they can use it on their own website. Can you understand what I'm saying? So the influencer is not really bringing them sales. The influencer is just a model. It's like when you are a model, an actual runway model, and you go and model for a brand, you're just helping the brand or the creative designer to showcase their products. You're not the one doing the marketing for them. So with that example, that's another way an influencer can add value to a brand and not be the one bringing them the customer. They're just using your work for promotional content. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now, because even when I started my YouTube channel, if you go back to my old videos, that's why I've not deleted some of them. My really old videos, I just used to do hair, tutorials on myself. And I think the first hair review that I did was on Instagram then. It wasn't on YouTube. And the brand just reached out to me. I didn't go out looking for them. They reached out to me based on the existing stuff that I've been sharing. You guys know I've been on the natural hair journey for, years now. And I think it's from, me blogging. Then it was on my blog, actually. Me blogging about my hair journey. So maybe when they Googled, African bloggers, maybe my name came up. And what I found is that when I worked with the first brand, the second brand, the third brand, the fourth brand, automatically, a sea of requests for reviews came. And that's another danger zone as an influencer. You don't want to be an influencer where you now, put yourself in a box of just hair reviews. You want to be like lifestyle, depending on your own niche. Just depending on your niche. You don't want people to also want to send you clothes, also want to send you hair, also want to send you whatever it is that interests you, not send you, collaborate with you on that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's another way. So I would say, finding these brands, you can either pitch to them, you can just, you keep working and keep sharing on the existing things that you use. You don't need to tag the brands. I know people that, my family friends, they always tell me to stop tagging brands for free. And it's true. But me, no. If I as a business owner, I want people to go on my own platform to buy my product and share without me paying them. I want that as well. So those things don't matter to me. For me, but you can speak for yourself, So when you tell me, say you use a hair product, you share pros and cons. It's only a matter of time before someone is watching and someone is noticing and say, they share your page with another brand, or they themselves, they notice you, or a PR agency reaches out to you and then they want to work with you, and then that starts, a stream of income, and that you begin to gather portfolio. And also, I know that a lot of new influencers, they want to start earning for their content. I would never, I would never outrightly say, do some work for free or whatever. But I'm going to speak for myself. When I started accepting to do what would I call collaborations with brands and everything, I never had a rate card. And if I'm going to be honest, and I'm talking about, as I said, 8 years ago, I never had a rate card. I didn't even have a standard how much should I charge or how much or whatever. When they offered me, I'll say, okay, yes, I'll be willing to do that. And I did that. But as I said previously, I did share a lot of free content for brands that don't even know me. If I use a hair product, I'll say, okay, shea moisture, this. And then how the universe works. It's funny how I mentioned shea moisture now. And I remember that I used to talk about them a lot because I just started my natural hair journey then. And then suddenly they reached out to me, and then they took me to Ghana for a trip. I don't know if you guys remember, that was a couple of years ago. They took me to Ghana, and then that was really good. And who would have ever thought that, this my, in quotes, free content suddenly, generated income for me, and also a trip for me to partner and collaborate with them as an influencer. So that's just want to just encourage you that sometimes, you work with your head and sometimes you work with your heart, like I always say. So if you feel like, what, I can do this, why not? I can post it, I can attend this event. You can send me the goods, why not? I'll use it. Don't worry, in exchange for collaboration. It's up to you. I do say, earn some form of remuneration when brands actually reach out to me, even if it's 5,000 naira. Earn from it. I'm pro that. But I'm saying in your own personal disposition, let's say you use a product and you like it, share with your audience, and maybe when they begin to tag you. I don't know if you know there's an influencer on Instagram. My name is Melissa. I used to follow her since the fashion days, and in fact she has a hashtag now called Mel Made Me Do It. And there's some brands that now work with her now based on, because people were tagging them saying that it wasn't a paid collaboration. She just posts the stuff that she used that she likes, and then people go and then they buy, and then the brand now reached out to her that, okay, we got about 100 sales based on your Insta story, would like to collaborate with you, can you please send us your rate card? That was a way for her to even gain earnings. And I think even that happened with Jackie Aino as well, with the kombucha drink that she's always talking about, and now they've actually partnered with her. It was because something that she actually really liked. So basically that's what influencing is, sharing your life and influencing people to make decisions based on your own experiences. That's basically what influencing is. So that's that. So I think I've handled talked about how to attract brands. I think I've done justice to that topic. If there anything as I'm speaking and you have questions, please leave it in the description box below. This is not a master class, so there's only so much that I can share. Do you understand? And it's really a YouTube channel. As I said, I don't want it to be information overload. Now another thing people talk about is editing their videos. They don't know how to start. They don't have the software. They don't have Final Cut Pro. I would say start with what you have. If you have a phone that you're using to watch this video, start. Just start. Practice makes better. I'm not saying that the brands will reach out to you, but at least you've gathered knowledge, you've gathered skill. You know that, okay, I shouldn't use this transition, I should use this transition. I'm using my phone, you're using Filmora, you're using Windows Movie Maker. I don't know if that still exists, for those that use Windows laptop. You're using iMovie. I still use iMovie, and I've earned a lot of money on YouTube using iMovie to edit videos. You don't need to buy Final Cut Pro of £300. You don't need that. You can do that maybe when you're not investing in your craft. You don't need to buy an HD camera. You don't need to buy all the latest Sony A series camera. You don't need to do that. Just work with what you have and keep putting out content. And then when you begin to earn from it, or when you're able to save up from your own personal income, maybe from your salary or your paid job, you then now can now, you know, step up just so that you are more professional, if that makes any sense. That's what I'm saying. But start with what you have. Start practicing. The internet is such an amazing resource. There's so many things I learned how to do online. Go online. How to design an intro. How to make an intro. How to do an outro. How to do an icon. If you have a mindset of always learning, there's really only so much that you cannot do. Do you understand? So when it comes to influencing and then, you know, creating content and anything you don't know how to do, if you don't have a friend that's an influencer that will show you the way how to do it, just, you know, go on Google and Google it. For instance, you know, when I used to write like long captions on my post, I remember that I just hated the way that it was so clumped up. I just Googled it and I found out that there was an app called Line Breaker. So it helps you to put captions on Instagram, and you don't need to be putting dots, dots, dots. You just type it on the app and then you copy and paste it, and then it gives you clean spaces in your Instagram caption. So that's one. There's so many things you can learn online if you're just willing to ask Google. You know, like just search it, and I'm sure you'll be fine. So that's that. And if there, another thing I would also say is, you know, collaborating with other influencers, right? I know there are a lot of people that were discovered by just, you know, collaborating with other influencers. I also have done my own fair share of collaboration when I was in Nigeria. Now that I'm in UK, it's a bit more challenging. I'm not even just in the UK, I'm in Scotland, and I don't know a lot of influencers here yet, so I haven't been able to. And even my kind of content, because I do a lot of faith-based topic, I'm not sure that that's what's popular here. So I'm not, even if people want to collaborate with me, their own content or their own way of thinking or their value system may not align with mine, and it's just conflicting interest, and I'm not able to collaborate with them on those topics or whatever topic that they want to collaborate with. But I would say if you're an influencer, you know, it's good to be, you know, one man mopo, but it's also not good. You know, when I say one man mopo, I mean like it's not good to be a lone ranger when it comes to influencing. You need people to speak for you. I've had opportunities where they tell me to say, look for 20 bloggers, and the top of my head is the one that engages with me. I just, okay, you know what, let me work with this person, let me work with this person, let me work with this person. I'm working on a campaign currently for a hair brand, and I've been given the liberty and even a very good budget to work with, I think, 30 influencers. And I was able to tell my staff that, you know, we'll reach out to this person, this person, this person. And she was able to do, and that's based on relationship. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you also want to reach out to fellow influencers, collaborate with people, so that when they are tagging you, when they have opportunities, they remember you. It's also a way to create content, you know, with other influencers. If you're in Nigeria, you know, you two of you are small influencers, you know, maybe you're into fashion. Why don't you two of you collaborate? It's not a competition. The sky is so big, like the sky is big enough for everybody to flourish. Two of you come together, do fashion videos, put it there. If your name is Tope times Tosin, I'll be Tope X Tosin together. It even makes it more interesting, you know. Trust me, mean girl never works. You know, it's always good to be at peace with other people and, you know, just have an open mind, especially in this vain industry, because yeah, influencing is a very vain industry. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's one thing you also want to consider, partnering with other influencers, not just for opportunities, also for ideas. You know, you guys can brainstorm together, and there's really nothing like copying really in this influencing world, because literally nothing is new as such, but it's just, you know, putting your own spin and being unique with your own content. Do you understand? Not that this person does a post about it today, you post about it tomorrow. No, now you're doing the most. Do you understand? So that's that. To be honest, there's so many things that are on my head I really want to share, but if not, this video is going to be about 3 hours. So I'm just going to round up, and then maybe if you have any questions, you put it in the comment box, and then we can do an Instagram live later, maybe sometime this weekend. And then today is Wednesday, so maybe on Saturday this week we can, this video should be up before then, we can then now, you know, build up on this topic, and then we'll go on Instagram live and I'm able to answer your questions live. Yeah. And also, if you want it as a YouTube video, I'll be willing to do that, so that maybe in the future you can always refer to it. So finally, I know I touched on it earlier, but I'm not sure if I talked about it explicitly. So how do I price myself? I'm going to give you the most honest answer is, there's no general industry price. It's not like, it's not a shoe, it's a service. And it's a service that is only you that you can, as I said initially, be honest with yourself. The quality of work you provide, is it good enough? And then you tell them what you want to earn. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like it's your there's the word for it. It's your prerogative. Yes, it's your choice. You're only the one that gets to use the discretion. It would be great maybe if you're partnering or you're networking with other influencers, then both of you can liaise together and say, you know what, okay, for hair videos I charge, let me say, £500. You are able to do that. For smaller indigenous brands, okay, let me use myself as an example. Right, I have 2 rate cards. I have one for Nigerian brands and I have one for international brands. And the reason I have one for Nigerian brands is because I'm very passionate about Nigeria and I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship. I live in England, so I should earn, I live in Scotland, I live in the UK, so I should earn in pounds, right? So if I charge what I charge hair brands that are able to pay me in this currency to Nigerian brands, entrepreneurs will not be able to afford it. And that's just the truth, because the exchange rate is about 600 naira to £1. So let's say I charge a hair brand, you know, £500, for instance, for an Instagram post. And I charge you that you just started selling shoes on Instagram. Your shoe is 5,000 naira. That's the average selling price. And I charge you 300,000 naira, assuming that's the equivalent in naira, for one Instagram post. You won't be able to afford it. And that's the honest truth. You would rather advertise with gossip blogs that charge way less and probably give you more, you know, reach, because they are gossip blogs. And I'm just being honest, you know. So I have a subsidized, standardized rate card for Nigeria because I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship. I'm passionate about smaller brands. I promote a lot of brands on my personal page. If you follow me, you would know, on my Insta story, free of charge, because it doesn't cost me anything to put up that post. Do you understand? I see it as sowing a seed into the person's life. If you reach out to me and you know you're led to pay me, or you ask me for my rate card, I would send it to you. But if I like your work and I see what you do and I see that you're grinding, you don't even need to ask me. I will post you for free. That's just my own benevolence. You people can say, I'm not eating, YouTube does not put food on my table. Do you understand what I'm saying? I have a business that is a profit-making business that I do. If you want to do YouTube full-time, you may not be able to do this. But for me, I'm not doing YouTube full-time. I have a job, I have a business that pays me and, you know, helps with my bills. YouTube brings money. It's a great source of income. If YouTube does not pay me, I will feel it. I like the earnings that comes with it. But the platform that God has given me, which is YouTube, Instagram, and social media at large, I'm able to benevolently share people for free and just bring awareness to people's businesses for 0 naira. Do you understand? That's just as the spirit leads. Do you get? So that's with that. But as I said, if you know that YouTube is your only source of income, if you do free, that's foolishness, because you are adding value. You will be hungry. So I hope you're able to hear within the between the lines of what I'm saying, so no one takes what I'm saying out of context. So in totality, as I said, no one can help you discern how much you think you're worth. You're the one that's going to set your own pay range by yourself. And I also said liaising with other YouTubers within your bracket, or people that have gone ahead of you, would also help as well. So you can say, okay, you know what, Tosin, if you DM me now, for instance, and say, you know, I have 5,000 followers, you know, I want to start influencing, and on average I get 30 comments. How much do you think I should, you know, earn for influencing for a brand with 5,000 followers? Then I can, you know what, do what? I can now go on your page, have a look at what you do, have a look at your content, say, you know what, if I were a brand, I would be willing to pay this. Is that good enough for you? Or if I were you, this is how much I would be charging, because with the experience that I have now as an influencer that's been doing it for a couple of years. So that's that. So with this video, I really hope I was able to give you very valid and solid points, and I really hope that this video blesses you. If you have any questions, as I said, we're going to have a spin-off of this video, definitely, because it's such a robust topic. Please leave it in the comment box below. I would definitely be reading. I would share on my Instagram, and then we'll schedule a live, and then we can answer the questions live, or I'll sit down and do another video like this, and then we can take it from there. Okay? Okay. So yeah, my mouth is so dry, I'm tired. Anyway, that's about it, guys. I think I've touched about on the major topics. I've talked about who an influencer is. I've talked about how to attract brands, designing your rate card, what a rate card does for you, the value proposition that bloggers share, offer, how a brand can measure return on investment with working with influencers. So many things I've talked about. So please, if you did not take notes, you can rewind, watch it again when you're more at peace, and take notes, and then we can take it from there. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to tell a friend about my channel. That's the fastest way I've been going. People have been telling people about my channel, so please tell a friend about my channel. Tell them there's this girl on YouTube. Check her out. Her name is Tosin. Okay? So anyway, thank you guys so much again, and till next time, stay blessed. Bye bye.